If you're on the slightly skinnier side and you're trying to gain weight and gain muscle, however, the scale is staying on the exact same number or even going down from time to time, then you are in the right place, my friend, because in today's video, I'm going to explain exactly how to get out of this never-ending cycle. And it is so much simpler than you think, right? So many people overcomplicate things, which makes things even harder. And when you perceive things to be harder, then that's how your reality will manifest, right? However, I'm going to make things as simple as possible so you can start to frame weight gain and muscle gain as pretty simple and straightforward. Therefore, that is how your reality is going to manifest, and weight gain and muscle gain will actually become straightforward for you, and you're going to start seeing that scale weight going up, right? So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So it's all it is, right? It's 2 steps. That's it, right? Follow these 2 steps and you are going to see your scale weight go up, right? It's that simple, right? There's no fancy shit. 2 steps, that's it, right? If we break weight gain down to its core principles, and on paper it is 2 steps, right? Obviously there's little things you can be doing to like make these 2 steps more easier and productive, etc, etc, but all it is 2 simple steps, right? So step number 1, you've actually got to eat enough, and step number 2, you've got to make sure you're tracking the right things. And please do not click off this video because obviously you know, eating enough may be pretty obvious. Please, I'm going to explain. So what I mean by eating enough is if your scale weight isn't going up, and even if it's going down, then my friend, you are not consuming enough calories, right? I'm not talking about you have to eat more volume. I'm talking you have to eat more calories, and I'll get onto that in just a second, right? Because that is a mindset that is going to change a lot for you, right? But if your scale weight isn't going up, then you are not eating enough, right? And that is because it is biologically impossible to gain weight without eating enough, right? You have to eat in a calorie surplus in order to gain weight. And if you don't know what a calorie surplus is, it basically just refers to the excess amount of calories one has to eat in order to gain weight, right? And the reason why this is how our human body works is because everyone has a maintenance calories, right? So let's say person X has a maintenance calories of 2000. The reason why he has this maintenance calories is because 2000 calories also naturally leaves his body every day. So it just balances it out. And because the amount of calories that's leaving our body and the amount of calories that's coming into our body is the same, we are going to inevitably stay at the same weight. However, we want to eat in a calorie surplus, so we need to increase the amount of calories we consume in and eat more than the amount that goes out, right? And that is how you gain weight. At some point your weight will plateau, right? Whether you're actually plateauing right now, or whether you can't just get off the starting blocks, your weight will inevitably plateau if you keep the calories the same, right? The reason this is because the more weight you gain, the demand doesn't stay the same to gain weight. The demand increases as the weight increases, right? So for example, my 51 kilo self in 2021 probably had to eat a lot less for sure to gain weight than myself when I was 78 kilos 2-3 months ago, right? And the reason this is because I'm heavier, I demand more to keep going. And in order to actually work out how much you should be eating and how much you should increase your calories by if you're not gaining weight right now, I've come up with a little formula that I do with myself when I'm bulking, and it really helps, right? Okay, so before I let you guys get back to this video, there is something very important I need to make sure you guys have done before you carry out the formula that I'm about to go through, right? So what I want you to do right now is you actually need to find out how many calories a calorie calculator would say you need to consume in order to be in the calorie surplus, right? And then what you want to do, if you don't know that already, is start eating at that number. And if you still can't gain weight, then this is the formula you need, right? So before you do anything, or before you try this formula, go on the calorie calculator website that I've linked in the top link in the description, and that you're going to see on here somewhere so you can see what to do. You basically just got to fill out your age, your height, your weight, etc, etc. Press calculate. It's going to give you some numbers, and then below that there's going to be a link that says show info for weight gain. Click on that, and where it says weight gain 0.5 kilos a week, that is the amount of calories you should be eating at initially, right?
And if you gain weight after eating at that calories, then happy days. You don't necessarily need to worry about this for now, but I'd still recommend watching. However, if you do not gain weight, or if you're already eating these calories and not gaining weight, then this formula is for you, my friends. So step one before you actually do this is just make sure A, you know how many calories you should be eating, so go on a calorie calculator, and B, you need to actually have tried to eat these calories, and if you aren't gaining weight, then once again, this is for you. So I'll let you get back to the video.
So what I do, right, if I see my scale weight stagnating at 75 kilos, for example, it's been at 75 kilos for the last week and a half, the last 10 days, and it's not moving, right? What I would then do is I would realize, I'm clearly not eating enough calories, because if I were, my weight would have been going up consistently. However, it has stayed at 75 kilos, so I have to increase my calories, right? Now, we don't want to increase our calories too much, because what that is going to do is put us at risk of just eating too much. Therefore, we're going to eat unneeded calories, which will just store as fat, which when we cut down will be a very, very difficult and a lot harder to lose, and it's just unnecessary, right? However, we don't want to do too little, because obviously we need to gain weight, right? So the formula I've come up with, right, is for the next 2 weeks, you want to increase the amount of calories you're eating by 150 calories, right? That is the number, right? If you're currently eating 2,500 calories and your weight isn't going up, increase that to 2,650 calories, right? Give that another 10 days to 2 weeks, and if your weight still isn't going up, increase it by another 150 calories, right? This may be a bit of a long process. However, we need to experiment, and we need to iterate, and we need to find the gem, right? Because as I said, we don't want to just increase our calories by 500 calories. Like, yeah, the likelihood of us gaining weight if we do that compared to increasing our calories by 150 is going to be more. Like, we will probably gain weight at that point. However, we want to gain quality weight, not quantity weight. So it's important we do it step by step. So the formula I use, for example, going back to my example, if I were stuck at 75 kilos on the scale and I was currently eating 3,000 calories a day, then I would increase that to 3,150 calories a day, right? And another reason why we slowly increase it by not too much, by only 150, is because we need to slowly get our body used to eating more. If we go straight to increasing our calories by 500, then that can sort of like shock our body. Our body's not used to it. Therefore, we're probably likelihood of us not being consistent with that is going to be very high, right? So slow and steady wins the race. We don't want to go one step forward and two steps back. We want to keep going one step forward and climbing up the ladder as high as we can possibly go, right? So that's the formula I've got for making sure you're eating enough. Give it 2 weeks, increase your calories by 150, and see where the scale lands you, right? And this brings me perfectly on to step number two, right? In order to actually know whether you're gaining weight correctly or not, you need to make sure you're tracking properly, right? So many people think they're not gaining weight or they're doing things wrong. However, in reality, they're not necessarily tracking things properly and things are completely normal, right? And this is a really bad avenue to go down, because if you're not if you think you're not gaining weight because you're not tracking properly, but in reality you are, then that can lead you to changing what is working, right? And then that can lead to you just stagnating, right? For example, if someone weighs themselves at the wrong time or tracks their calories incorrectly, you know, and they think they're not doing the right things, however, in reality they are, they're just tracking wrong, then that can sort of divert them off the right path to a wrong path, right? So, we need to make sure we're tracking properly. And there are three important things you need to be doing, right? So, step one is scale weight, right? You need to make sure you are weighing yourself at the right time throughout the day, right? A huge mistake people make, and I had a mate message me quite a while back. He basically just was talking to me about how he gained like 3 kilos and then he like lost it in like 2 days, right? And I asked him simply, what time did you weigh yourself on both of the days? Well, on Wednesday I weighed myself at 9 p.m. and then on Friday I weighed myself at 5 p.m. And then on Saturday I weighed myself in the morning. Come on now, come on now, right? You've got to be weighing yourself when you wake up, right? The very first thing you do before you go to shower, before you go and drink your pint of water to get you ready for the day, before you go and eat your breakfast, weigh yourself, get yourself on the scale, as that is the most accurate time throughout the day, because you won't be holding any food or water in your system as it would have digested overnight. Therefore, it's the most accurate time to weigh yourself throughout the day. However, if you're weighing yourself at random times, then you're going to have different amounts of food and water in you, which can just like portray inaccurate fluctuations on the weight scale, right? So that is step one to tracking properly. Just weigh yourself every single day. It's not, you just walk into your bathroom and just stand on the scale and take a note of it. It'll take you like 20 seconds. But it goes such a long way, right? 20 seconds for 6 months of progress, right? Just think about it like that, and it'll be so much easier for you guys, right? And what you basically want to do in order to actually sort of gather whether you're gaining weight efficiently or not is you want to weigh yourself every morning, and then you want to work out the average at the end of the week, and you obviously want to compare that to the week prior to that, right? So what you want to do is obviously weigh yourself every day, as I said, add those totals up. So if I weighed 75.1 and 75.2, etc., etc., I'd add all of those numbers up, and then because there's 7 days in a week and you want to find the average, you would divide that number by 7, right? So if I added up 75 kilos times 7, all of the numbers, I'll just divide that by 7, and that would be my average weight throughout the week. And then you can compare that to the previous week and see whether you've gained or not, right? And if you have, then you keep doing what you're doing because it's clearly working. However, if you haven't, then you give it another week, as I said, 10 days to 2 weeks. And if you're still not gaining weight, then you increase your calories by 150 calories, right? So in order to actually put this formula into practice, to increasing the calories by 150, you have to be tracking properly, because um, you know without feedback, then we can't edit the inputs to get the right outputs, right? It's a never-ending cycle, and if you're not having the feedback, then you're never going to improve the input, therefore never improve the result, right? So it is super important we are tracking properly. So that is step one. Step number two, right? We want to be making sure we're tracking our calories um, every single day, right? If you don't track your calories now, I'll just recommend, starting off with 1 or 2 days a week and just slowly building it up, right? Um, once you have, once you start eating consistently and eating similar meals every day, you can start to eyeball stuff in the future. However, if your weight scale isn't going up right now, it is super, super important that you track your calories, because you don't want to be overestimating, you don't want to be underestimating. And if you're not gaining weight and you see that you're not eating enough, then you're like, I've got to eat more. Then, problem is solved, you start eating more, and then your problem is solved. However, if you don't know, if you don't have that data, then you're going to be sort of like confused and thinking for an unnecessary amount of time, and you may make changes to something else that is working, when in reality it's the amount you're eating that's not working, right? So as I said, you want to be making sure you're getting this data so you can get feedback, so you can sort of perform better, which is going to get you better results, right? I'll put a graph on the screen of how this will look, right? The better your inputs, the better your outputs, right? And the more feedback you get, the more you can improve your inputs to get even better outputs. And it's just a never-ending flywheel, and you'll just keep bulking and gaining muscle if you follow that. So that's basically the end of the video, right? So in order to actually know whether you're gaining weight properly or not, just a quick summary, you want to make sure you're tracking your weight every morning. Oh yeah, the only thing you can do before you track your weight is go to the toilet, whether that's a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, whatever you want to think that is. I'll leave that up to you you can ponder with that in your mind. But that's the only thing you want to do before you step on a scale, right? Because that just gets rid of any weight that can inaccurately portray what it says on the scale, right? So obviously you want to be doing that, stay consistent with tracking your scale weight and obviously tracking your calories, right? Therefore, you can determine whether you are doing enough, and with that feedback, you can potentially implement the formula that I just gave you guys, increasing your calories by 150, for 2 weeks and seeing whether that works, and just eating more, right? So that is the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your... If you want more personal help from me to get you out of your struggles and to get that scale weight going up consistently, I would love it if I could invite you guys to my very own free community. It's going to be the top link in the description down below, where I'm basically helping just short of 250 men right now in the exact same situation as you, just helping them break free from their weight gain and muscle gain struggles. The guys are seeing results, the guys are seeing progression. I basically just teach them all the fundamentals they need to know, right? And I'd absolutely love to have a one-to-one chat with you. So I'd absolutely be delighted to have you in the community. It's going to be there. All you've got to do is drop a request and then I'll get you in there, my friend. But if you want to stay on the channel, if you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, drop a comment down below. And if you want to stay around, I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So it would mean a lot if you could hit that big red button down there, right? But without further ado, I don't want to drag this video on. Have a good day. Take care. Ciao.